I'm going to be speaking today about sort of the foundation for what I'm going to be speaking about tomorrow as well. For the last several months, I have been over at my home on Maui working on a book that is the culmination of a lifetime of writing. It's my 24th book, and it could well be the last book I write in these areas. It's called The Power of Intention, and it's about the whole idea of when we have an unbending kind of intent in our hearts about something that we want to create and attract into our lives, that it absolutely is impossible for it not to work when we identify ourselves with the whole field of intention from which all of us originated. And it is essentially a very spiritual message. And I will be sharing more about that tomorrow afternoon, exactly what intention is and how we can attract virtually anything we want into our lives. I learned something when I was very, very young. I was the richest kid in the orphanage. I was the only kid that ever had money all the time. And today I'm 62 years old and I still have never made a house payment, nor have I ever made a car payment. And I have purchased 19 homes for various people in my family, including everyone in my family and my wife's family and people who work for me, and my children and my wife's children from her previous marriage, and so on. It has been, and it isn't because I'm special, it isn't because I'm more talented, more educated, more brilliant than anybody else. It's because of something that I have always known in my heart, and that is that something that Earl Nightingale, a man who was a great friend of mine and a dear friend, passed away a few years back, put out a tape back in the 40s called The Strangest Secret. And the strangest secret is nothing more than these words: we become what we think about all day long. And it sounds almost too simple to be such a great and powerful secret. But the fact is that our thoughts are the things that we use to create our reality. Tomorrow afternoon, I will be speaking about the energy field from which all of us emanate. None of us came here because of our parents' blissful activity in the moment of our conception. We think that that's where we came from, but it's just an illusion, it's just a myth. We come from that place. My teacher in India a few years back was asked a question by one of his devotees: where does everything come from? And his response was, where does your question come from? It is from the same no place, the same place that has no boundaries and no form. And it is that spiritual element that all things emanate from. We become what we think about all day long. I've just published a book not very long ago called There's a Spiritual Solution to Every Problem. And the essence of that book is that when you bring higher and faster energy, which is how energy shows up in the universe, it's either high or low, or fast or slow. And higher and faster energy is the energy that nullifies and dissolves lower and slower energy. And even more than nullifying and dissolving it, it converts it into something called love and peace and kindness and receptivity and creativity. So that if you are living in a place in your life in which you have shortages, or which you have disease, or which you have disharmony or struggles at all, and anything that you label a problem, if you can somehow learn how to do a somersault into the inconceivable and land in a place where you're looking at a new level of consciousness in which problems are not a possibility for you, and that you can attract anything that you want into your life, that there is a source in the universe. Or you can have a different vision, and the vision you can have is of you to be able to attract and create anything that you want, the power of the mind. One of the great lessons to learn from these kinds of experiences that you'll be having here. So, what I'm suggesting is that there is a place within each and every one of us from which all of us can go, to where all of us can go. There was a man that I admired very much. His name was Herman Melville. Melville was a great American writer back in the 19th century. He wrote Moby Dick. And many other great pieces of literature and much poetry. And he would leave his writing space in western Massachusetts, and he would go out into the cornfields, and he would lie down on his back, and he would see in August, he would see the corn, as they say in South Pacific, as high as an elephant's eye. I think, not South Pacific, whatever that is, Oklahoma, I guess it is. And he would imagine that this sea of corn, silk, that's all that he could see lying on his back, was the ocean. And, you know, I used to teach Moby Dick when I taught English literature. And a lot of people think that he was just an obsessive old man looking for a whale. But what Moby Dick was really about was the pursuit of that which everyone else considers to be impossible, and the obsessive determination to not allow oneself to be defeated by any forces in the universe. It's a very powerful theme in Melville's life. And as he would lie there on his back, he would look up, and this is what he wrote in Moby Dick. For as this appalling ocean surrounds the verdant land, so in the soul of man there lies one insular Tahiti, full of peace and joy, but encompassed by all of the horrors of the half-lived life. You gotta go to Tahiti. You gotta go to that inner Tahiti, that place of peace and joy, and, as I'll be talking about tomorrow, make conscious contact with that source from which you emanated. Because most of us, when we come from that source, most of us, we show up into this world, and in this world, we take on something called an ego. And when we take on this ego, it's really nothing more than just an idea that we carry around about who we are. And we begin to believe in this idea about who we are. And this idea about who we are is something that we run our lives on. And it's really based upon the notion that who I am is what I have, and who I am is what I do, and who I am is what others think of me, my reputation, and who I am is separate from everyone else, and who I am is separate from what I would like to attract into my life, that is, from what's missing in my life. Somehow I'm separate from that. That's 5. And 6, who I am is separate from God, from my source. And those 6 ideas that we carry around inside of us are the things that destroy our abilities to become manifestors, attractors of anything that we want to place our attention on.